However, as her popularity grew, Zainab started feeling uneasy about these visits. She worried that people would judge her for being involved with an older man who didn't fit the image she was building for herself at the university. One evening, as they stood together by Kwami's car outside her hostel, Zainab decided it was time to talk to Kwami about his visits. "Kwami, there's something I need to talk to you about," Zainab began, her voice calm. Kwami looked up at her. "What is it, my love? Is everything alright?" Zainab took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "Kwami, you've been so supportive, and I'm grateful for everything you've done for me. But I think it would be best if you didn't visit me at school so often. I'm really trying to focus on my studies, and your visits are becoming a bit of a distraction." Kwami was surprised, and with genuine concern he replied, "A distraction? Zainab, I'm sorry, I don't want to make things harder for you. If you think it's best for me to stay away, I understand. But are you sure this is what you want?" Zainab, forcing a smile, replied, "Yes, Kwami. I think it's for the best. I just need some space to focus on my schoolwork. We can always meet when I come home at the end of the semester." Kwami's face softened, and he reached out to gently touch her hand. "If that's what you need, Zainab, I understand. I trust you, and I'll always be here for you. Just know that I'm only a phone call away if you need anything." Zainab nodded, trying to push away the feeling of guilt that gnawed at her. "Thank you, Kwami. I appreciate your understanding." In the bustling marketplace in the small town of Bod, casting long shadows across the shops where vendors sold everything from fresh produce to colorful fabrics and electronics. Among them, Mama Zainab's food stall was always a popular stop, known for its delicious stews, soups and freshly made jollof rice. The scent of spices filled the air, drawing in customers who were eager to taste her cooking. Zainab, a young woman in her early 20s, was busy helping her mother serve the customers. Her hands moved quickly as she dished out hot plates of food for the customers. She always wore a smile while serving the customers. "Zainab, hurry up, more people are coming," her mother, Amina, called out as she stirred a large pot of soup. "I see them, Mama," Zainab replied, her voice warm and cheerful. As Zainab handed a plate of food to a customer, she noticed a man approaching their stall. He was tall and well-built, his dark skin glowing in the fading sunlight. It was Kwami, one of the wealthiest young men in town, known for his successful business and generosity. Kwami owned several shops and properties in Bod, and he often visited the marketplace to oversee his businesses. Although he had never attended school, his hard work and determination had made him one of the most successful men in the town. He was a regular at Mama Zainab's store, always stopping by for a meal when he was in the market. "Good evening, Mama Zainab," Kwami greeted. "Good evening, Kwami," Amina replied with a smile. "It's always a pleasure to see you. What will you have today?" "The usual, please," Kwami said, his gaze lingering on Zainab as she served another customer. There was something about her that caught his attention, something more than just her beauty. It was her grace, her intelligence. As Amina prepared his meal, Kwami struck up a conversation with Zainab. "How are you today, Zainab?" "I'm well, sir," Zainab replied politely, slightly taken aback by the direct attention. "How is business?" "Business is good, by God's grace," Kwami answered. "And how is everything with you? Are you still helping your mother here every day?" "Yes," Zainab nodded. "I have to. We work together to keep things running smoothly." Kwami noticed a flicker of something in her eyes. Was it sadness? "Do you have other plans, Zainab? I imagine a smart young woman like you has dreams beyond this marketplace." Zainab hesitated, unsure of how much to reveal. But there was something about Kwami's tone that felt genuine, so she answered honestly, I had hoped to continue my studies at the university, but it's difficult. We don't have the money, and my mother is still saving up, but it's so expensive. Kwami nodded thoughtfully, considering her words. Education is important, especially for someone as intelligent as you. It's a shame you've had to put your dreams on hold. Zainab managed a small smile. Thank you, sir. I'm grateful. I am hopeful that I'll still continue my studies as soon as my mother has enough money to pay for it. Zainab handed him his plate of food. Here you go, Kwami. Enjoy. Thank you, Kwami said, but his thoughts were still on Zainab. As he walked away, he couldn't shake the feeling that there was something special about her. That night, his mind kept returning to the conversation he'd had with Zainab. He thought of her potential, her unfulfilled dreams, and an idea began to take shape in his mind. The next morning, Kwami returned to the marketplace, arriving early before the crowd gathered. He found Amina setting up her stall, arranging her pots of food. Good morning, Mama Zainab, Kwami greeted, his tone more serious than usual. Good morning, Kwami. You're here early today, Amina remarked, looking up from her walk. I wanted to speak with you privately, before the market gets busy, Kwami said, glancing around to ensure they were alone. Amina wiped her hands on her apron and motioned for him to sit on a wooden bench near the stall. What is it you want to talk about, Kwami? Kwami sat down, his expression earnest. Mama Zainab, I have great respect for you and your daughter. Zainab is a special young woman, and I believe she has a bright future ahead of her. Amina smiled softly. Thank you, Kwami. Zainab is my pride and joy. Kwami nodded, then took a deep breath before continuing. I've been thinking a lot about what she told me yesterday, about her desire to continue her studies. I believe in education even though I didn't have the opportunity myself. I want to help Zainab achieve her dreams. Amina's eyes widened in surprise. What do you mean, Kwami? Kwami leaned forward, his voice steady. I'm serious about Zainab, Mama Zainab. I want to marry her. But I also want to make sure she has the chance to go to university and fulfill her dreams. I'm willing to fund her education, pay for everything she needs. Amina was silent for a moment, her mind racing. Kwami was a good man, well respected in the community and also very rich, and his offer was more than generous. But the idea of her daughter marrying such a successful, older man was unexpected. Kwami, this is a big decision, Amina finally said, her voice cautious. You are a successful man, and we are just simple people. Are you sure about this? Kwami replied, I am certain, Mama Zainab. I've thought about this carefully. I'm willing to do things the right way, with respect and tradition. I want to marry Zainab, and I want to support her to succeed in life. Amina sighed, still thinking about Kwami's proposal. You are kind, Kwami. But I must speak to Zainab about your intentions. She is my daughter, and her happiness is what matters most. Of course, Kwami agreed. I wouldn't want it any other way. Please, take your time and talk to her. I will respect whatever decision you both make. That evening, after the market had closed and they had returned home, Amina and Zainab were preparing food by the fireplace outside their house which they would sell at the market the next day. Zainab, there's something important we need to discuss, Amina began, her tone serious. Zainab looked at her mother with concern. What is it, Mama? Is something wrong? Nothing is wrong, Amina assured her. But I had a conversation with Kwami today and he has expressed interest in marrying you. Zainab's eyes widened in shock. Marry me? But, Mama, I don't understand. Amina took her daughter's hand, squeezing it gently. He wants to help you, Zainab. He knows about your dreams of going to university, and he's willing to pay for everything. but he also wants to marry you. Zainab's mind was spinning. The idea of marriage had never crossed her mind, especially not to someone like Kwami. He was older, successful, and respected, but she didn't know him well beyond their brief conversations in the market. "Mama, this is so unexpected. I don't know how to feel," Zainab admitted. "I want to continue my studies, but I never thought about marriage so soon, especially to someone like Kwami. I am just 20 years old. He's like 35 years old." "I know, my child," Amina said, her tone gentle. "This is a lot to take in. Kwami is a good man, but this is your life. You need to think about what you want. We can't rush into this." Zainab nodded, her thoughts filled with uncertainty. "I need time to think, Mama." "Take all the time you need," Amina replied. "We will discuss this with the family as well. Whatever decision you make, we will support you." The next day, Amina invited her extended family to their home to discuss the proposal. Zainab's Aunt Fatima, a wise woman, and her uncle Ibrahim, who was known for his fatherly advice, joined them in the living room. After exchanging greetings, Amina explained the situation. "Kwami has asked for Zainab's hand in marriage. He's willing to fund her education and provide for her, but Zainab is yet to make up her mind. I just wanted us to advise her together as a family." Aunt Fatima was the first to speak. "You mean Kwami, the successful young man who owns so many of the shops in the market?" "Wow, Zainab, my dear, this is a big decision. Kwami is a good man, and his offer is generous too. But marriage is a lifelong commitment. You must consider this carefully. The choice is yours to make, my dear." Uncle Ibrahim nodded in agreement. "It's true, Zainab. This is a rare opportunity. Kwami's offer to fund your education shows that he values you for more than just being a wife. But you should not feel pressured." Zainab listened carefully to her aunt and uncle, feeling the weight of their words. She appreciated their wisdom and support, but the decision still felt overwhelming. "I understand, Aunt Fatima, Uncle Ibrahim," Zainab said, her voice soft but steady. "This is a lot to think about. Kwami is a good man, and I am grateful for his offer, but I need to be sure this is the right path for me." Aunt Fatima reached over and patted Zainab's hand. "You're wise to take your time, my dear. Marriage is not something to rush into, no matter how good the man may be. Follow your heart, but also consider the practicalities." Uncle Ibrahim nodded. "Think about your future, Zainab. Kwami's support could help you achieve your dreams. But only you can decide if that's the future you want." Zainab spent the next few days in deep contemplation, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. She thought about her dreams of becoming a university graduate, about the life she had planned for herself. She also thought about Kwami, his kindness, his generosity, and the life he was offering her. It was a life of security, one where she could pursue her education without worrying about money. But it was also a life that came with the responsibility of being a wife, something she wasn't sure she was ready for. Each night, Zainab would sit outside their small house, thinking about the conversations she had with her mother and family. She felt a growing sense of responsibility, not just to herself, but to her mother, who had sacrificed so much for her. But in her heart, Zainab knew that whatever decision she made, it had to be one that she could live with, one that aligned with her dreams for a better life. One evening, as Zainab and her mother were preparing the food they would sell the next day at the market, she finally spoke up. "Mama, I've been thinking a lot about Kwami's proposal." Amina looked up from the pot of soup she was stirring, her expression attentive. "What have you decided, my child?" Zainab took a deep breath, steadying herself. "Kwami is a good man, and I'm grateful for his offer. I want to continue my education, and his support would make that possible. I also believe that he can give us a better life than what we have got. I believe I will be happy with him as my husband. Amina nodded, her face calm. And do you feel sure, Zainab? Zainab hesitated, then nodded slowly. I think I do, Mama. I'm ready to accept Kwami's proposal. I believe that with time, I will also grow to love and respect him even more. And with his support, I can achieve my dreams. Amina's eyes filled with pride. You've made a good decision, Zainab. I'm so happy and proud of you. We will proceed with the arrangements, and I will let Kwami know of your decision. The following day, Amina met with Kwami at the marketplace, her heart filled with excitement. Kwami could tell from the smile on her face that there was news. Mama Zainab, Kwami greeted, his voice filled with a hint of anticipation. Have you spoken with Zainab? Yes, Kwami, Amina replied, smiling warmly. Zainab has decided to accept your proposal. She's grateful for your offer and is ready to move forward. Kwami's face lit up with genuine joy. This is wonderful news. I promise you, Mama Zainab, I will take good care of her. I will respect her dreams and ensure she achieves everything she desires. I will be a good husband to her. Amina placed a hand on his shoulder. I believe you, Kwami. Zainab is my precious child, and I know you will do right by her. We will begin preparations for the traditional introduction. Kwami nodded eagerly. I will make the necessary arrangements. I want everything to be perfect for Zainab. In the days that followed, both families began preparing for the traditional introduction ceremony. It was a time of excitement, not just for Zainab and Kwami, but for everyone involved. The women of Zainab's family gathered to discuss the details, from the food that would be served to the outfits they would wear. Meanwhile, Kwami was busy planning with his family to ensure everything would go smoothly. He wanted to make a good impression, not just for himself but to show Zainab's family that he was serious about his commitment. On the day of the introduction, the atmosphere at Zainab's family compound was festive. Zainab, dressed in the beautiful attire her aunt had helped her select, felt a mix of nervousness and excitement. On the day of the ceremony, Kwami and his family arrived at the compound. They were greeted warmly by Zainab's relatives, and after the formal introductions and greetings, the ceremony began. The elders from both families took their places, and traditional prayers were offered to bless the union. Kwami sat beside Zainab, feeling a sense of pride and gratitude. Zainab, Kwami whispered, leaning slightly toward her. You look beautiful. Zainab smiled shyly, her cheeks flushing. Thank you, Kwami. I'm glad you're here. As the night drew to a close, Kwami approached Amina, a look of gratitude on his face. Mama Zainab, thank you for welcoming me into your family. I promise to honor Zainab and support her in every way. When she resumes her studies at the university, then we can proceed with the wedding plans. Amina smiled warmly. You're a good man, Kwami. I know you will take care of my daughter. We are now one family. The following days were filled with excitement as Zainab and Kwami began planning for their future together. Kwami was true to his word and immediately began the process of enrolling Zainab in the university. He was determined to see her succeed and made sure that she had everything she needed for her studies. One afternoon, as they sat together discussing her upcoming classes, Zainab looked at Kwami with a mixture of gratitude and admiration. Kwami, I don't know how to thank you enough for everything you've done for me. I never imagined I would be able to go to university. Kwami reached out and gently took her hand. You don't need to thank me, Zainab. I'm doing this because I believe in you and because I care about you. Your dreams are important to me. Zainab felt a warmth in her heart that she hadn't expected. You've given me hope, Kwami. I want to make you proud. You already make me proud, Zainab, Kwami replied, his voice sincere. Just be yourself and work hard. That's all I ask. When you are well settled at school, we will begin our wedding preparations, I promise. As the weeks went by, Zainab adjusted to her new life as a university student. She threw herself into her studies, determined to excel. Kwami was supportive, always encouraging her and making sure she had the time and space she needed to focus on her education. One day shortly after she began classes at the university, Zainab decided to talk to Kwami about something that had been bothering her. She had been thinking about it for days, but she wasn't sure how he would react. After all, he had already done so much for her. But she knew she needed to do what was best for her education. Kwami, there's something I need to talk to you about, she began, her voice calm but serious. Kwami could sense the hesitation in her tone. What is it, my love? You know you can talk to me about anything. Zainab hesitated for a moment before continuing. It's about the stress of going from my mother's house to the university. It's becoming really exhausting. It's taking up so much of my time and energy, and I'm finding it hard to focus on my studies. I was thinking, maybe it would be better if I moved into the university hostel. There was a brief silence and Zainab's heart raced as she waited for Kwami's response. She knew how much he cared about her well-being, but she didn't know how he would react. Kwami's voice was gentle when he finally spoke. That's a reasonable idea, Zainab. Your education is important, and I want you to be comfortable. If living on campus will help you, then I fully support it. I'll take care of the cost. Zainab was so happy, and she couldn't help but smile. Thank you, Kwami. I was worried about asking, but I really think it will make a big difference. You don't need to worry about these things, Zainab, Kwami reassured her. I want you to succeed, and I'll do whatever I can to support you. I'll make the arrangements for your accommodation right away. Kwami quickly arranged for Zainab's accommodation at the university hostel. He took her shopping and bought everything she requested, making sure she would be comfortable and have everything she needed. The day she moved in, he was there to help her carry her belongings and get settled. As they walked into the hostel together, Zainab looked around with a mix of excitement and nervousness. The building was lively, filled with students going about their daily routines. It felt like a new beginning for her, a chance to fully become involved in university life. Are you sure you have everything you need? Kwami asked, as he placed her bags on the bed in her new room. I want you to be comfortable here, Zainab. Zainab smiled, touched by his thoughtfulness. Yes, I have everything, thanks to you, Kwami. I'm a little nervous, but I'm excited too. It feels like a new beginning. Kwami nodded. You're going to do great things here, Zainab. Just focus on your studies, and don't hesitate to call me if you need anything. As they were finishing unpacking, the door to the room opened, and a young woman stepped in. She was about Zainab's age, with a friendly smile. Hi, I'm Kesai, the young woman introduced herself, extending her hand. You must be Zainab. It's nice to meet you. I'm your roommate. Zainab shook her hand, returning the smile. It's nice to meet you too, Kesai. I think we'll get along well. Kesai glanced at Kwami and then back at Zainab, her curiosity showing, is this your brother? Zainab blushed slightly and shook her head. No, this is Kwami. He's my fiancé. Kesai's eyes widened with a mixture of surprise and admiration. Oh, I see. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you, Kwami. Zainab is lucky to have someone so caring in her life. Kwami smiled warmly, extending his hand to Kesai. The pleasure is mine, Kesai. I'm glad Zainab has a good roommate. I'm sure you'll both do well here. As the days passed, Zainab and Kesai quickly became close friends. The two young women became inseparable, attending classes together, studying late into the night, and supporting each other through the challenges of university life. Kesai was from an upper-middle-class family, and she had worked hard to earn her place at the university. She admired Zainab's dedication and often found herself inspired by her friend's determination to succeed. Their friendship continued to grow stronger, and Kesai was a positive influence in Zainab's life, encouraging her to stay focused and always pushing her to do her best. Since the day Zainab stepped foot on the university campus, her beauty and intelligence quickly made her a well-known figure among her peers. Whispers about the stunning and brilliant Zainab spread through the lecture halls, and soon, her name was on the lips of both students and lecturers alike. As the semester progressed, Zainab noticed the increasing attention she was receiving. Male students would often find excuses to sit next to her in lectures or approach her under the pretext of needing help with their studies. At first, Zainab politely declined their advances, but as more and more people sought her out, she began to enjoy the admiration. One afternoon, after a lecture, a male student named Tund approached her as she packed up her books. "Zainab, you're always so focused in class," Tund said with a charming smile. "Maybe we could study together sometime." Zainab looked up, her heart fluttering slightly at the attention. Tund was popular on campus, confident, charismatic, and always surrounded by friends. She smiled politely, though she felt a twinge of guilt. "Thank you, Tund, but I have a lot on my plate right now. Maybe another time." "I understand," Tund said, "but if you ever change your mind, you know where to find me." As Zainab watched him walk away, she couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. The admiration was flattering, but it also left her feeling confused. She was engaged to Kwami, who had done so much for her, yet here she was, enjoying the attention of other men. Anyways, she thought, it's not like I'm doing anything wrong. It's not my fault I'm beautiful and attractive. Kwami continued to visit her on campus regularly, bringing her gifts and checking on her well-being. However, as her popularity grew, Zainab started feeling uneasy about these visits. She worried that people would judge her for being involved with an older man who didn't fit the image she was building for herself at the university. One evening, as they stood together by Kwami's car outside her hostel, Zainab decided it was time to talk to Kwami about his visits. "Kwami, there's something I need to talk to you about," Zainab began, her voice calm. Kwami looked up at her. "What is it, my love? Is everything alright?" Zainab took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. "Kwami, you've been so supportive, and I'm grateful for everything you've done for me. But I think it would be best if you didn't visit me at school so often. I'm really trying to focus on my studies, and your visits are becoming a bit of a distraction." Kwami was surprised, and with genuine concern he replied, "A distraction? Zainab, I'm sorry, I don't want to make things harder for you. If you think it's best for me to stay away, I understand. But are you sure this is what you want?" Zainab, forcing a smile, replied, "Yes, Kwami. I think it's for the best. I just need some space to focus on my schoolwork. We can always meet when I come home at the end of the semester." Kwami's face softened, and he reached out to gently touch her hand. "If that's what you need, Zainab, I understand. I trust you, and I'll always be here for you. Just know that I'm only a phone call away if you need anything." Zainab nodded, trying to push away the feeling of guilt that gnawed at her. "Thank you, Kwami. I appreciate your understanding." As the days turned into weeks, Kwami honored Zainab's request and stopped his visits to the campus. He continued to provide for both Zainab and her mother, sending money and checking in on her well-being through phone calls and messages. Despite the distance, he remained as supportive as ever, always encouraging her to stay focused on her studies. However, as Kwami's visits became less frequent, Zainab found herself increasingly drawn into the social circles of the university. She began to spend more time with a group of male students who admired her not just for her beauty but for her intelligence and ambition. The attention was intoxicating, and soon, Zainab started to distance herself from her old routines, and from Kesai.